refresher. And I just love this video. I think it explains it better than anyone can.
And we're officially live and broadcasting, so if people need it, please let them know that it is available to be watched on YouTube.
Children, one of the first hemophiliacs to come down with AIDS. There was no education and hardly any information on AIDS at the time.
Ryan White says he gets very lonely. He misses his friends. The 13-year-old was banned from school after it was found he was suffering from AIDS. And now his school have said they never want him back in class.
I don't want nobody else to get it, and I can see where they're worried. But I mean, if my doctor says it's okay to go back, I mean, I don't see no reason why I can't.
I became the target of Ryan White jokes. Lies about me biting people, spitting on vegetables and cookies in grocery stores, and urinating on bathroom walls. Some restaurants threw away my dishes, and my locker was vandalized.
Ryan really became famous because of his fight to go to school. When Ryan was diagnosed, they gave him only 3 to 6 months to live. But as he started getting healthy, he started to ask, "Mom, I want to go to school." But the school board and the state would not allow it. The White family moved to Cicero, Indiana, and there, the community welcomed them. It was all because of a young girl named Jill Stewart, who was president of the student body, who decided to bring in medical experts and talk to the kids. The kids went home and then educated their parents. Ryan was then welcomed, and he got to go to school, proms, and dances. He even got a job.
In the face of adversity, today lost his battle with AIDS. He died today of a respiratory illness related to the disease. The 18-year-old hemophiliac had been hospitalized in Indianapolis since March 29th.
In 1991, in an effort to keep his memory alive, his friend Jill Stewart founded Indiana University Dance Marathon in his honor, raising $10,900 in their first year.
IU Dance Marathon came together in 1991 because Jill Stewart was best friends with Ryan White, and he passed away shortly before he was planning to come to IU. She wanted to figure out a way to remember him and celebrate his life.
Who are we?
We are students.
Leaders.
Change makers.
We are making a difference right now.
Fundraising.
Advocating.
Providing support.
For the kids at our local children's hospital.
We are taking action.
And making a tangible impact in our communities.
Every dollar we raise stays here.
Right here. To provide the equipment,
services,
research, and treatments
needed to help change kids' health and change the future.
We are united as this generation fighting for the next. We develop leaders.
Build community.
We create a brighter future.
For every child. And we have fun doing it.
Being a part of this movement makes an impact on students who bring together their campus community to raise funds year-round for their local Children's Miracle Network hospital.
I started Dance Marathon because I wanted to leave a legacy of compassion and human kindness here on campus. I wanted to be a helping hand to the future of my community and nation. Dance Marathon has impacted my college experience in a way that I never could have imagined.
I think that every student should get involved with Dance Marathon at their campus. It can be really hard to find your place, but as soon as you join a Dance Marathon movement, you're immediately part of a bigger community and a bigger family. Regardless of your background, you have the power to make such a big difference in the lives of these families and patients at local hospitals.
Dance Marathon instilled in me skills that are important to post-college career, and so I will always cherish those. And in terms of project management, time management, conflict resolution, interpersonal relationships, the list goes on, but Dance Marathon has been very instrumental for me and instilled in me confidence and the skills to succeed post-graduation.
Probably one of the greatest moments of my entire life was when I got to visit my own local Children's Miracle Network hospital.
Going throughout the hospitals and seeing like, this is specifically because of us.
Local hospitals without Dance Marathon, they would only get the basic medical.
Some of the treatments are extremely intense. The intricacy of the equipment can get really costly.
By fundraising, you're able to help keep kids safe and happy.
One person can't do everything, but everyone can do one thing. So I was really happy that Dance Marathon gave me the opportunity to do that one thing.
I hope that people who listen to this, who have ever had doubts about the power of Dance Marathon and the power of the Children's Miracle Network, know that those sick kids are there and the things that you do are truly impacting one life at a time. My two children are Max and Adrian, and this will be our 6th year with Dance Marathon. With Max, there were no surgical options left. World-class care. Could not ask for more. Without those Children's Miracle Network dollars and Dance Marathon, life-saving equipment would not be available. The chair that I sleep in would not be available. Giving that money so that a helicopter can go fly and get your child a heart. I mean, how could you ever put a price tag on that? It's gonna happen for him. We're just so grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So who are you?
Are you trying to change the world?
Develop skills for your future career?
And form relationships that'll last a lifetime?
Are you ready to join the movement?
Are you ready to change kids' health and change the future? Because
kids
can't wait.
That is just one of my favorite videos. Like I said, I think it explains Dance Marathon better than any of us could. So definitely, I highly recommend sharing that video out at any recruitment events or at maybe your first committee meeting of the year, anything, any group that you're talking to that is newly involved in Dance Marathon or could potentially be involved. I think that video does a great job explaining it. All of you guys as Dance Marathon students know, I think it's hard to fully understand what Dance Marathon is until you get to main event. And so I think that video does a really great job of explaining to people what it is until they can get to main event and really experience that first event. But moving on, just want to explain to you all the national support that we provide. So we shared that you in your program will work with your local member hospital, but that third piece of the puzzle is Children's Miracle Network. And so our campus programs team is here to provide national support to all of you as Dance Marathon programs. So there are 3 different ways that we do this throughout the year. So first, we have our team of national campus programs managers. And so there's a few of us on here tonight, Soph, Amber, and Pat. We're missing 2 as of now, but with your team of 6 campus programs managers, we're really here to share best practices and strategies. So picking up, best practices and ideas from other programs and sharing them with you, helping connect you to programs that are doing things that you're interested in doing, helping you determine your organizational structure and fundraising tactics, sharing with you all of those strategies of how to succeed, a lot of which we'll cover through this onboarding series throughout the summer. We'll help you establish as student leaders and help with onboarding, whether that's now or helping you also in the fall onboard the rest of your team, in supporting all of those leaders that you have through student leadership development. We'll help you foster connections with your hospital itself and your campus advisor to kind of help if there's ever anything that you aren't sure which advisor to go to or who can help. We can always help clarify that. help you with transitions, kind of being that stable team of people as student leaders change every single year, help with finance and tech support, help you with communication, and program planning support, and then also all of the national activations that we do. So if you remember from this past fall, 1 month, one mission, any national activations we do, we also help you through those. So just a few examples of ways that your National Campus Programs Manager can support you. We also have lots of tools and resources available to you. Everything can be found on the Dance Marathon website, which the link will be dropped in the chat. But if you go to the resources tab of this website, it will bring you to what we call Asset Library. This has every resource you could ever imagine. And so one way that your National Campus Programs Manager can help is kind of sort through that asset library with you and point you to specific resources, but also know that the asset library is available to anyone at any time. There is a lot in there. There's also a really great tool in there that breaks down the entire asset library and its contents if you need help finding different things. But definitely take a browse through there throughout the summer. There's folders for every kind of step throughout the year, whether you're focusing on recruitment or fundraising or main event planning. We have lots of guidebooks and data tracking templates, social media graphics, and a million other things that you could ever need. All lives in those different folders in the resources tab of the Dance Marathon website. And then lastly, we provide many different collaboration opportunities. Like I said earlier, we'd love for you guys to lean on each other and connect with each other. You all are doing such different but amazing things at all of your different schools. So really making sure that you all have time to share with each other is very important to us and also to your success. And so on the next slide, there's a few different examples of collaboration opportunities that we provide. One of them being the Student Leader Summer Onboarding Series. Throughout the summer, you'll be connecting with lots of different students. Through these sessions in the chat, you'll be able to see which students from which programs are attending, and that will be specifically helpful. I know this session is very large, but that's even more helpful in the position-specific sessions throughout June. You'll get to see which students are holding the same positions as you at different schools. We also have Ignite, our peer-to-peer leadership conference this summer. I'll get more into that in a little bit. And then lastly, throughout the rest of the year, after onboarding wraps up, after Ignite, we do have plenty of options of ways that you can collaborate and continue your learning throughout the year. So we'll have different collaboration calls where you can connect with people. We'll also host webinars and have different continued learning opportunities so that the learning doesn't stop at the end of the summer. You still have our support and this whole network of Dance Marathon programs throughout the entire school year. So a brief overview of the summer onboarding series. I know that you've all received probably many emails from the campus programs team at this point, but you're in the general onboarding session now, which is fantastic. And then the second May onboarding session will be our Donor Drive admin and finance tracker trainings. If Donor Drive does not sound familiar to you, or you don't know, like, I don't think I'm gonna have admin access this year, or I've never heard of the finance tracker, this likely does not apply to you. If you are confused for any reason, feel free to reach out to your advisors. But Donor Drive admin and finance tracker training is really just for those finance teams and people who have access to Donor Drive admin. And then June is for everyone. So we have a breakdown of a ton of different sessions throughout the month where we're focusing on individual positions. Those will be really, really tailored to what your role is, how to succeed in your role, walking through different scenarios you may experience in your role throughout the year, and also offering opportunities for you to connect with the different people that hold your role throughout the country. And then in July, we'll have Ignite in person. And then in August, we'll have our final onboarding session. And so if you complete all of these different summer onboarding series opportunities throughout the summer, at the end of onboarding, you will receive a certificate of completion. And so this is a great thing to share on LinkedIn or kind of attached to a packet of references and letters of recommendation, your resume, that you have been through the CMN Summer Onboarding Series. So definitely make sure to register for the donor drive session if you need, but definitely at least one June session. We try to split it up so that there are sessions for everyone, but if you feel like your position might kind of straddle 2 or 3 sessions, please register for all of those. And even if you can't attend live, just register anyways, and that will ensure that you get our follow-up email and the recording. And then once you attend in August, you'll be ready to go for that certificate of completion. If you have any questions about the summer onboarding series, don't hesitate to put them in the chat. We'll be here to help and answer questions throughout the whole webinar tonight. But we're very excited for this onboarding series this summer. And if you attended last year, just know that we do have lots of new information and content to share with you. So definitely don't count out any sessions just because you attended them last year. And then moving on a little bit more about the Ignite conference. I have one more video to play after this if you have no idea what Ignite is or have never heard of it before. But this is our conference that we host every summer where we get all of our Dance Marathon student leaders together in person in one spot to basically have a crash course collaboration weekend where you get to attend sessions about how to succeed throughout the year, but also really just have opportunities to connect with other student leaders across the Dance Marathon Network. And this is happening in July, the 16th through the 18th in Indianapolis. And like I said, educational sessions and networking opportunities, but also a really great time for cause connection. We'll have some national champions there. We'll have people sharing their stories. It's just a really great way for you to see how you can really host not only a great main event, but also how to succeed throughout the entire year. And also, it's a ton of fun. If you've never been and have any questions, feel free to pop those in the chat. But also, we have this video that helps explain a little bit more of what it is.
My name is Campbell, and I fundraise for Children's Miracle Network.
My name is Will, and I fundraise for Children's Miracle Network.
My name is Izzy, and I fundraise for Children's Miracle Network.
I fundraise for my local children's hospital because I believe in hope for the next generation.
Dance Marathon, to me, it's not just another fundraising event. Being at Ignite and being able to see these kids and their families has been so sweet.
Being a part of the Dance Marathon movement means being a part of something bigger than myself, but also something where I can truly see the impact I'm making.
I see through my students' experience how much they get out of not just Ignite, but the whole Dance Marathon experience and connecting with their peers, the relationships they make with these families, and without this network of individuals and families and this broad Dance Marathon community, it wouldn't be possible.
Dance Marathon just naturally brings together some of the best and the brightest and most passionate people, and then when you have all of those dynamic individuals in one room who care about the exact same thing, it is pretty electric.
A lot of college students on their campus are always looking for something to give them purpose, to give them meaning, and to me, Dance Marathon has given me that sense of purpose, that meaning, that drive, that reason to do what we do.
Before I joined Dance Marathon, I didn't know how I could be a leader in a community, and this has really given me an outlet to become a leader.
Student involvement, student engagement, and leadership development is so key to your 4 years or however long your undergraduate time is on a college campus. But I think what's unique about Dance Marathons is that cause connection and that extra layer that it has to it.
Being that patient that was treated, it's almost eye-opening to come in with that perspective to something like Dance Marathon, because when I see our miracle families, I see the whole family and not just the child that we work with.
The likelihood is that you or someone that you know and care about is going to need the benefits and the resources that a children's hospital offers. And so for students and community members to give back to that now is so important, because you never know when you're going to need it.
People should donate to Children's Miracle Network because you never know this, but there could be kids in the hospital going through stuff right now like I did when I was a baby, and it's just good to raise money to help them a little bit, because a little can change the world.
We would love to have as many of you at Ignite as possible this summer. So Soph did share the registration link in the chat. So please register if you have not already. And if you have any questions, again, feel free to put those in the chat as well. But one more knowledge check before I pass it over to Kristen is who from your team should be attending summer onboarding? And I do have a poll. Okay, I actually think I'm not. Amber, would you be able to share out the poll? I'm not sure that I'm able to anymore.
Kristen, I'm going to ask you to share the poll. Your host, so you'll have all the polls to one.
We've hopped around who the host is a few times in our YouTube debacle.
If you click more and then polls, you should see
I'm on the poll. It's not letting you know.
Okay.
Everybody just share in the chat.
Share in the chat. Who do you think should be attending?
You got it right.
Yeah, it was a trick question anyways. I had a few different options. Presidents, just VPs, just chairs, it's everyone. So if you know anyone that hasn't been attending, or hasn't yet signed up for their sessions, please encourage the rest of your team to do so. And remind everyone that even if they can't attend live, still register anyways to get the recording, especially for those June sessions, so that you all can get your certificates of completion. But that pretty much sums up our CMN and Dance Marathon 101 section of onboarding. So I'm now going to toss it over to Kristen, but just wanted to give a brief disclaimer. If anyone has, heard all this about CMN before, or just has been doing laundry, or, not fully tuned into what we're talking about tonight, this is where all of the brand new content that you've never heard starts. And you'll see these themes reappear all throughout summer onboarding as well as the entire year. So definitely start tuning in now if you haven't.
And thank you for bearing with us through our technical difficulties through this. This is a show of resilience, which is a word you'll hear in our competency section later, of pushing through when things don't go the way you wanted them to in Plan A. So here we are showing that off. But our goals here for summer educational series through student leader onboarding, Ignite, and continued education are really three-pronged. We want to help you all feel like you have the technical skills to do your job. So the technical skills, and what I mean by that, are specific to your position. What does it require to do the work? We also want you to feel prepared with individual leadership skills. So we're going to talk about that. That's the competencies I keep talking about, of what does it take skill-wise generally to do any good work, any job, not dependent on what your specific role is, general leadership skills. And then how do we help set you all up to have really, really good team dynamics and culture for your program, and make this a really fun experience on top of making sure that you are building those skills personally, having the fundraising success you want, having the main event of your dreams, and also just having fun along the way. Amber, if you can go to the next slide. So for us to get some shared language on these three buckets that we are going to be talking through. So I started to walk through them a little bit, but those technical skills are role specific. So what does it what do you need to be able to do in order to fulfill the role that you have been selected for? So Abby mentioned donor drive. If that's a part of your role, that's a technical skill that you need to learn and master to be able to be effective in your specific role. Things like finance tracking, knowing how to use the tracker, how to build a marketing plan if that's in your job description, recruitment plan, fundraising push days. All of those are very technical skills, and there's a lot more here in order for you to be able to be successful this year. So we're going to be covering those through all of the summer through June. All of those position specific breakouts are going to go into what does it look like to be successful in each role. What we're going to be focusing on here today, we're going to be introducing it, and then you'll hear more about it throughout the rest of the summer. And then at Ignite, if you're able to join us, is what does it look like to build individual leadership skills or competencies? I know that's a new word we're introducing, so I'll go a little bit more in depth on what a competency is. But competencies go hand in hand with technical skills. So the technical skills are what people can do, and these competencies are how you show up and how you approach your work. So they're more general, where anybody in any role needs to be able to capture these competencies and do them well in order to have an effective working style. But they do, like, how that shows up is dependent on your role. So these are things like peer management, delegation, personal accountability, professionalism, resilience. These have also been called soft skills in the past. But I like the word competency because it really elevates that this is not soft. This is not something that like can be thrown away. It's really, you have to have the technical skills and you have to have the leadership skills or competencies to show up and do that work effectively. And they really go hand in hand. And then team dynamics and culture is everything that I mentioned in the last slide of, is it fun to be a part of this organization? Do you feel like you're in it together? Do you have trust and safety in your group? And what that looks like is not only prioritizing fun, but holding each other accountable. Having a good culture means that you set it up to be really strong and effective for you all. When things are going well, that it feels good. And when things are going awry, you're still in it together. You're still having that shared ownership towards goals, working together, leaning on each other, and moving forward together. So we can sum that up of what does it feel like to work together? So our goals throughout this summer are that you get those technical skills, you learn more and dive into your own personal competencies and find areas in which you are already really strong and areas that you can grow in. And then we start to help set you up to have that strong culture as an organization this year. So I put a little box around the technical skills and the individual skills, because those are really focused on the individual. When all of us are showing up with high competency in our technical skills and also showing up with a commitment to competencies in being good at those things that we have identified, all boats rising tides rise all boats. What's the saying? Anyway, so these are individual skills, but they do have an impact on that greater team. So when all of us are making that commitment to show up together, we're all going to benefit, and it will ultimately impact the team dynamics and culture if we're setting that up from the jump. Or if you can go to the next slide. So this should look familiar. This is a SWOT. We have had all of you participate in a SWOT analysis for your individual programs already. We asked you to submit those earlier in the summer as your programs were transitioning. So maybe your outgoing team did the SWOT, maybe your incoming team did the SWOT analysis. And that's really looking at the past year or even longer of your program and identifying what are the strengths? What do we do really well that we need to keep doing? What are the weaknesses of our program and where do we need to grow? What are those opportunities that are exciting that have potential to be future strengths, things that we are maybe not doing that we should be? And what are threats? What are things outside of our scope of control that could impact the program? So we had you all fill that out. And it was really, really interesting for us to start to dive into that data and read what you all said were your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. And there's a lot there individually that we want you to work with your advising team and work with your whole organization to use that as a jumping off point for the upcoming year. But we, for the purposes of this session, kind of pulled out what were those themes, and something that really rose to the top. If you can go to the next slide, thank you. The network-wide theme was that the strongest programs had individual leaders who balanced those technical skills and leadership competencies. So what I mean by that is programs who knew exactly what they should be doing. They had everything right on paper. Things were written out and planned and tried to execute against the best that we could because we had the technical skills and we knew what we should be doing. But maybe they weren't as strong in holding each other accountable or having tough conversations when they needed to, or building strong team culture, weren't as successful as they could be because the scale wasn't balanced here. You weren't trying to do both things. On the other side, those who focused on having a strong culture and focused on let's be the fun team, or let's have a really good experience this year, or focusing on individual growth, but maybe didn't pair that with reading the resources or building a strategic plan based off of the technical skills that were required in each program, they also struggled. And so, where the magic really was made and what I was seeing come through in all of these SWOT analysis of programs that both struggled and had really great years is you have to find a fine balance here of strategy and culture. And you have to find a strong balance here of learning what you should be doing and learning how you should be doing it and how you show up together as a team. Interpersonal conflict was the number one thing I heard from CPMs of they've got a great plan, but they can't stop fighting or they can't get past a conflict to be able to execute against that really good plan. So what we're going to work on here through onboarding and throughout the rest of the year and through all of Ignite is how do we help you all balance these two things, have great technical skills, and be really strong interpersonal leaders. So this word, competencies, I keep using it. It's not something I made up. So this is a definition just for us to be using shared language. But competencies are used by a lot of different groups. So universities use competencies. You might have interacted with the word competencies before. It's a great shared language to be able to define what someone is learning or should be able to do from a role. So in the collegiate space, a lot of organizations use this to be able to provide a framework to help students articulate the skills that they are learning. So you even heard in some of our videos, people talk about the skills that you learn in Dance Marathon and through student leadership as something that's going to be really impactful in your career. Everything we've been mentioning, the leadership development, the delegation, learning how to manage your peers, all of those are competencies. So they are general skills that apply to any role, as I mentioned, and we're defining them here today so that we can start to have a common language about these behaviors. So when we see that something is going well, we can talk about that and have that shared language to be able to continue along that path. And in the same vein, if something is going amiss, and the example I shared of a CPM is saying they've got a great strategy, but there's some stuff going on that they can't even get to that, we have a shared language to talk to you all about strategies to persevere through that. And then ultimately, also, when you all go to apply for jobs, when you are able to articulate to them how you've built these skills and these competencies, that's a language that hiring managers use, companies use, and being able to have a very clear definition of here's a competency that they are looking for in this job title. And here are all of the examples I have of how I built that through my experience with student leadership is a really, really great thing we want you to have in your back pocket. So how are we going to engage with these competencies? I should have put a green check mark by the first one, but there are hundreds of competencies. There are a lot of different things, a lot of different frameworks, a lot of different groups who have their own listings of what competencies are. But what everyone agrees on is that you should focus on a few. You should focus on developing a few at a time to be able to have the greatest impact. We can't focus on everything. So we, along with looking at your SWOT analysis and gathering feedback from your advisors, we did identify 4 high impact focus competencies that across the board impacted you all and your programs, either in really positive ways, where if you were doing these things well, you were having great results and having a good experience. And also if you weren't, that it was a problem. So we've identified those 4. Today, we're going to be doing general education about what a competency is, which is the section we're in right now, and then what they are. We're going to tell you what the 4 are. We want you to have awareness of what they are because you're going to continue to hear them throughout the rest of student leadership, onboarding, and Ignite. And then we're going to walk you through how you will start to interact with them throughout the rest of the year. So there will be implementation resources after Ignite of how do you build this into your day-to-day culture? When somebody is having an issue, how do you talk about accountability? How do you talk about these things? And build that into your local culture. Go to the next one. I should have done a drum roll. Here they are. Here are the 4 competencies. So accountability, problem solving, resilience, and building strong teams. And you all are really, really smart. So if I were to ask each of you to give me a definition, or what does it look like to have accountability or engage in problem solving or being resilient or building strong teams, I know that you would be able to give me a definition of what that should look like. What our goal is to help you start to build a framework around what does it look like when this is going well, specific to Dance Marathon? What does it look like when this isn't going well, specific to Dance Marathon? And how can we help you build that competency up throughout the year to be able to be a better student leader and ultimately impact your program? So we're going to dive right in. We're going to do this for each of them. We're going to talk about the competency, what it means, and what it looks like. And then I'm going to have you all, so get your typing fingers ready, share an example of what it looks like. Think about a leader, either yourself or someone that you have been led by in the past. And once I've walked you through some of these examples, talk about what experience you have with accountability, maybe when it was going right or maybe when it wasn't going right, and how that impacted your dance marathon program last year or in previous years. So accountability is at a core definition, holding yourself and others accountable to commitments. So this is easier said than done, as all things are. But as a leader, when you are less skilled in accountability, it can show up and look like failing to help others adjust course when they are off track. It's easy for yourself to be accountable sometimes and not practice the other accountability of creating a culture of accountability on your team and giving feedback when needed. When you are less skilled in accountability, it means avoiding ownership when mistakes happen or blaming the circumstances instead of focusing on solutions. What it looks like when you're skilled in accountability as a leader, it means you're following through on commitments and making sure that others are doing the same. So not only are you doing what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it by and showing up for things you say you're going to, but you are making sure and others are as well, and having difficult conversations when that's not happening. It's taking ownership of responsibilities without needing reminders. So writing it down, making yourself a timeline for when you're going to get things done and following through. It's communicating proactively about your progress and challenges or delays. Accountability is sometimes you get to the end of a task and you didn't complete it the way that you anticipated or what you promised to the team. And so because you didn't get X, Y, and Z thing from the person who was supposed to do the task before, or you ran up against something happened on campus or a policy was changed and you had things outside of your control. Part of accountability is communicating proactively when things are getting in your way and helping work with the rest of the team to figure out the path forward. So skill development. A lot of accountability comes down to like procrastination. You're starting tasks too late or not identifying when you actually need to start the task in order to complete it an adequate amount of time. So starting to look at inward and saying, what are my triggers here? What causes me to be late on things? What causes me to not follow through on the things that I say I'm going to do? This one's the hardest, but practice giving kind and clear feedback. So we hope that people will give us feedback when we're not meeting expectations. Hopefully you appreciate that feedback. And we also have to practice giving it. So we're going to do a lot of that in Ignite and through some of the sessions of what are the actual words you're going to say when someone does not meet a deadline or when you do not meet a deadline. And then as a team, this is the opportunity to set clear expectations for what you expect of one another. It's hard to hold folks accountable to something that they don't know is an expectation. So how frequently or how quickly do you expect responses to emails? How frequently do you expect communication updates if someone is going to be out of pocket because they're studying for a final? Those setting those expectations up front can clear up a lot of issues down the line of trying to hold people accountable to things they didn't know were expectations. So I'm going to pause. Again, I know accountability sounds easy. It's harder in practice, but can you think back to an experience you have had in Dance Marathon? And you don't have to name names or give specific scenarios, but start to share when accountability might have gone right or when it might have gone wrong. I love both of these. I love that the first one you said, um, having the difficult conversation. That's really hard to do. And then helping them along with what they said that they needed help with. Or other moderators, if you're reading things that stick out to you, want to call them out.
I love the one about helping the team, internal team, stay on track with fundraising, and having the difficult conversations in order to make it work and help everyone hit their goals, even when you all have a million other responsibilities to complete within Dance Marathon.
Apologies if this one was mentioned, but I really enjoy the example of holding ourselves accountable. I think sometimes we fall into habits of holding others accountable, but maybe give ourselves a little bit more grace. And sometimes we don't. Sometimes we're really harsh critics, but I like the example of holding yourself accountable when your plate got too full and being sure to communicate that to those around you.
And I think what I'm seeing come through very clearly, even when you're talking about having to have difficult conversations, is the respect and setting a culture up front of we're going to give each other feedback, we're going to hold each other accountable. So everyone on your team being committed to accountability, again, at the individual level, will make it easier to have conversations of accountability as a team and as a group. So we're gonna, as I've mentioned a few times, you will hear examples specific to your position. So what that will look like in June is we'll be talking about accountability. And now that you have this shared definition and understanding that this is something that is critical to success, talking about what should that look like in your role? What does it look like to show up with accountability specific to finance, specific to events? What are examples? And then we want to help you all have scripts and practice. It's hard having hard conversations up front, and especially if it's your first time leading your peers, it's really hard to do that when they're your friends and when they're people that you hang out with outside of Dance Marathon. So being able to practice that skill is something that makes it far less scary, and it starts to become second nature to be able to have these conversations. Thank you all for sharing in the chat. We'll have a couple more opportunities for you to talk about the other three. Moving on to problem solving. So I changed it. This is an audible. My team is seeing this slide, and I previously just said problem solving, but I changed it to say planning and problem solving because it's not just problem solving when things are coming up, but the initial planning period as well is the ability to create thoughtful, organized, and realistic plans. So when you are less skilled in planning and problem solving, you're relying on others on where to start. That can look like relying on your peers and all of you staring at each other saying, I don't know where to start, so we're just not going to start and we're going to push off creating a plan for whatever it is we're doing, our push day, our marketing plan, our recruitment plan, and ultimately not having the best product or the best experience that we could because we pushed that off and we were relying on others. That can also look like relying on your advisors. You all are really smart and you have experience from your programs in the last year, and you are on your campus and know what is working and what is not working. And your advisors are there to be sounding boards, and they're there to help support you in building out really high quality plans. And they should be poking holes in a plan, not having to hold your hand to even get the plan started. So being less skilled in this is struggling to prioritize and waiting until the last minute, defaulting to the way things have always been done. There are times where doing what has been done is the right thing. I'm not saying you always need to shake it up and do something different just for the sake of it, but you shouldn't default to the way of doing it without understanding why. If we're doing it the same way we did in the past, there should be a reason. There should be, it went well. We have feedback to know this is what the community wants, etc. And this one I see a lot for folks is getting stuck in the ideating phase instead of moving on to building and executing. Sometimes it's really fun to just sit in a room and keep throwing ideas at the wall, keep throwing out what ifs, keep throwing out new and exciting things that we could be doing. And at some point, someone in the room needs to call it and say, we're moving on. We've made a decision. We ideated enough, and this is where the decision we're making, and now we're going to start executing. Being skilled in this is using all of the available resources to start creating a plan. So Abby shared dancemarathon.com and the resources that we have that are a really excellent jumping off point for really any topic that you have. And also using the resources you have available to you from your program. So feedback you have from the same event last year, feedback you've received from your committee or the SWOT analysis that I was talking about, using that to be a data point to start creating your plan moving forward. Moving forward independently when possible, but knowing when to bring stakeholders in. So we are here, your advising team, I'm speaking for them. They want to help you. They want to make sure that they're able to push you all in the right directions and help you all when you need it. But you also are able to move independently on a lot of things. And so knowing when is the time to do it yourself, when is the time to bring stakeholders in is the mark of being skilled in planning and problem solving. And then adjusting plans when circumstances change, not being tied or married to one specific thing or plan when things around you are changing. So, what you can start to do today to start to build this skill and a practice that you can start implementing for yourself is anytime you're bringing a problem or you've identified a problem, also bringing proposed solutions. Other people can help build off of those solutions, but having a starting point where everyone's not just looking at each other saying, well, what are we going to do? Being the first person to say, I've got an idea, let's workshop it together. And then reflecting on each project, but what worked well and what to change. Sometimes it's hard to look back and give yourself feedback of maybe something didn't go right in the planning process, and being able and willing to reflect and take the opportunity to be better next time. So broadly, this is a very broad topic and it really does apply, again, to those competencies being applicable across all roles and all technical skills. This could be in a lot of different ways. So planning for the whole year, planning for a specific event that you all did, planning for your main event. I'd love for you all to share in the chat either someone you know who is really good at planning and problem solving, or something you saw that didn't go the way it should in this arena last year. So you were ready with that one, Catherine. Love it. A lot of you are identifying specific people who are good at problem solving, and I love that because that means that you have a good model or a good frame of reference of someone who is good in this arena, and that we can all develop that skill. There are some people who think that these skills are innate and either you're good at it or you're not, and these are all things that we can all develop and grow in. So I love that you all have that mentor or someone who can be something to aspire to. What's everybody else seeing?
Some of the ones that I'm seeing that have a little bit more than just their name or the position, the commonalities were communication was respectful and timely in the problem solving and in the planning of getting things done and overcoming challenges. And knowing how to narrow in when it comes to crunch time.
Add a backup plan to the backup plan. I love that.
And within that communication, making sure that people are well informed when some of that problem solving. I'm seeing a lot of examples too in regards to main event specifically. And so it's really good to know that we've got problem solvers and people that are quick on their feet for that. But we know that the problems don't just come up, or the planning elongation doesn't just come up with main events. So excited to dive into more of those within all of the individual sessions during June as well.
I'm also seeing some great call outs to knowing who to lean on for which problems. I think that can be really helpful and is an underrated one that's coming through the chat right now is, for when you're having problems booking rooms, like you know that you can immediately go to your campus advisor, or knowing when you're facing any certain issue, who on your team mainly works with those people or mainly oversees that. I think that can be a huge key to success is learning more about what each other is actually doing all year long.
I'm loving seeing the staying calm and level-headed when we're problem solving. A lot of times we don't get plan A to happen perfectly, but that's okay because we just solve the problem, and being able to be level-headed and figure it out without escalating it too far is probably the most helpful thing when it comes to making that shift.
Thank you all for sharing. So planning and problem solving is hopefully building a good plan up front and how to adjust and solve problems when they're in front of you. Then that goes really hand in hand with resilience, which is our next competency we'll walk through. So resilience is the ability to bounce back from setbacks. When you are less skilled in resilience, you get easily rattled in those high pressure situations. You're panicking when problems arise and you don't have an obvious solution of we didn't have a plan B. What are we going to do? And that can send you into a little bit of a panic. Shutting down, even if you're not actively panicking and showing distress, it can also mean shutting down or taking a long time to recover from setbacks. And those setbacks can come from a lot of different ways. They can come externally, something changed, a policy changed, we weren't able to get the venue we wanted. Um, a champion child wasn't able to attend, they previously were, and now we don't know what we're going to do. And they can also come internally of we had a plan and we didn't plan well enough, and now we have to be resilient and come together and do this thing that we said we were going to do. So when you're skilled, you have that confidence under pressure. You're able to acknowledge that there was a setback and be frustrated and share with your team that you're frustrated. We are human. You don't have to immediately jump into bounce back mode. Uh, but also with sharing that frustration, being able to come at it from an angle where you're moving forward, and then being able to pivot when those setbacks occur. Resilience also means having a growth mindset of if the first thing fails, we're going to try again. So if you have an event, a special event in the fall when you all get back to school that doesn't go the way you want it to, not shutting down and saying, well, I'm never doing another special event or I'm never recruiting again. It's getting to the core of, well, that didn't work. And that just means that was the first no I needed to get to the yes. How are we going to use this as a jumping off point to be able to do the right thing in the future? So this one sounds a little woo-woo when I'm talking about the skill development, but practicing regulation when things are going wrong. So checking in with your body on how you're feeling when you're in conflict or when you're in a moment where you need some resilience. Is your heart rate really high? Do you get a little sweaty? Are you red in the face? Checking in on your breathing, grounding yourself and your body, taking a walk if you need to, closing your computer and coming back to something with a fresh head, and also practice having that growth mindset. It's really easy if you're in a group of people who do not have a lot of resilience or aren't in a growth mindset to be really negative when something goes wrong. And I'm not saying we have to be toxic positivity and positive all the time, but working together to say, how can we get out of this hiccup or whatever it is together and bounce back even stronger than we started. So, can you all share an example with me, a moment when you saw resilience come through this year, or maybe resilience stopped you, the lack of resilience stopped you all from doing something that you could have done?
also just want to give the call out that if you have a really hyper specific example, but you're nervous about it being tied to your name or to your program, there is an option to just send the hosts and panelists a message and we can see it, but no one else can. And so we can still share some of that goodness or that example that you might have with the group without sharing your program or any names involved. So just wanted to call that out in case that sparks joy for anyone.
I'll call one out that she did share with everyone. Olivia saying, hearing multiple donation refusals in a row challenged me to reflect on my mindset and my why in order to keep pushing forward. And I think resilience in personal fundraising as well as your actual dance marathon position is huge. Personal fundraising is at the core of everybody's job. So you do have a specific role within your dance marathon, but everyone has to personally fundraise. That's what we're here to do. And hearing no is really, really hard. And a lot of times you're not even getting a no. Sometimes a no would be easier. Sometimes you're just not getting a response at all. And so having that resilience to be able to ask the next person, even though you just heard a no, or ask again. I heard this at a conference that I attended and it really stuck with me where they said, in today's day and age, not responding does not equal I'm not interested. We're just inundated with so many notifications these days that sometimes somebody reads the message, has every intention to donate or respond to you in situations where we're not talking about fundraising, and they're just overwhelmed with their day-to-day life. And so the resilience and putting yourself out there, and it can be kind of scary to ask again, to say, hey, you've previously given in the past, or I would love to talk to you more about why this is important to me. It can be really scary, but a really good show of resilience there. What's everybody else seeing they want to highlight?
Not necessarily in the chat, but something I think is important to call out on when Chris was talking about skill development and practicing knowing how you're responding to these situations, practicing that regulation. Something I see so often at so many dance marathons, whether it's at main event or on a push day or whatever it may be, when you're all in one room together all day long, forgetting to take breaks to eat, or the CPMs tell each other all the time, I think it applies to you guys too, is literally go touch grass, go walk outside and actually breathe fresh air. I think, especially during main event, in those big days, it's so easy to forget those things. And that all can really build up and contribute to how you're feeling and how you're going to react to things. So just taking time to actually practice those. And if you're self-aware and know that you aren't going to do those things, turning to someone who you know will remind you, whether that's an advisor or a friend, kind of picking someone to help remind you what you need to do in order to practice resilience can be really helpful.
Amber, Soph, anything before I move on? It's
I
cool if
think
the
one other one that comes up for me as I'm reading it is the resilience to continue. This particular example is from someone that just started dance marathon on their campus, so they had to be really resilient in forging new relationships and getting their name as of their organization out there and getting people to join and be a part of it. And I think that that can be communicated and readjusted to say like that's something that all of us go through as we're continuing to find out what our organization is and some of those different relationships on campus or just in our registration pushes, being resilient to get your mission out there. I saw another one in there that said our families are resilient. We need to lean into that and learn from them and continuing to show that resiliency across campus when you're getting no's from other organizations on some partnerships or you get no's in registration. How do you still power through and know that you can be gritty. You can put in the hard work.
And I love Tyler. Tyler left us with a good reminder. Resilience reminder is to think of our miracle families and all they endure. If they can go through hard things, we can do the DM things. Love that, Tyler. All right, and the final one is building strong teams. So, of course, every competency that we've talked about, if you are holding each other accountable, if you are problem solving together and building strong plans, if you are focusing on being resilient, those all really do contribute to having a strong team. But building a strong team is a skill when in and of itself. A good team doesn't just happen. A good culture doesn't just happen. Recruiting the right people to your team doesn't just happen. It does take a good leader and a good group of leaders to come together and build strong teams that can do hard things together. So building a strong team is building that team of individuals together to achieve a common goal. Those who are less skilled in building strong teams as a skill, they fail to view morale and community building as important to effective teams. So they kind of separate, we're going to go have social outings together, that's separate, and we're going to do our work, and I'm going to be one way in this world and one way in this world. It's the authenticity to view when the team is feeling good and they are feeling connected to each other and they're in community with one another, they are more effective at their job because they're more willing to open up and have conversations about, hey, I'm struggling with this thing, or hey, I need to be resilient here. Can you help me out? And be that thought partner in all things. And so when you're less skilled, you kind of view them as separate. We have our tasks and we have our friendship time, and those are completely separate things. When in reality, they are really intertwined in a lot of different ways. You prioritize individual efforts instead of team achievement. So viewing the task list as this person got their job done, and so they're good, and this person got their job done, so they're good, instead of trying to put it into perspective of if everyone is succeeding, then we can meet our team goals. Leaning too heavily into fun at the detriment of organizational goals. So I'm calling this one out because we did see that a few times this past year where programs they were feeling like they didn't want to ask people to fundraise, or they weren't going to push too hard on setting recruitment goals or trying to get teams to sign up because they just wanted to have fun, or they just wanted everyone on leadership to have a good experience. And I just want to call out that those two things are not separate. Like, you can set really scary, good, bold goals together of things that you want to achieve in the year and set your sights on something really big, and have that be exciting and not scary, and have that also be fun. When you have small wins together, that's fun. When you have big wins together, that's fun. You have those fun moments in between that are not necessarily work related or goal related, but they don't have to be mutually exclusive. So being able to do both is really important. When you are skilled at building strong teams, you help everyone establish common goals, successes in terms of the whole team. And there are so many steps along the way in order to, like, there's a lot of different goals that are going to have to be met for us to get to our ultimate goal at the end of the year. But I know many of you have heard either your CPM or one of your other advisors have you close your eyes and think about what you want to feel at the end of your dance marathon, or even write yourself a letter now of what to your future self at dance marathon. And setting those common goals now and creating that successful vision for where we are headed together really does help build that strong team unity of, I'm going to do my best to build my skills and my technical skills. I'm committing to show up with these competencies and be a great member of the team because I know that I'm working towards a common goal together with these people. And just creating that sense of community and belonging. People don't just join organizations. Ours is great, and sometimes people do just join our organization because we have a great mission and we're a lot of fun to be a part of, but they also join people. So being a place where people want to be, and they feel safe within the organization. Fostering open conversation and feedback. I think that was a common theme across all the competencies of the willingness to be open with one another and share that expectation that we're going to be open and have difficult conversations, but have fun conversations and give feedback. And it doesn't always have to be a really hard, I'm sitting down to have a crucial conversation, but instead just how do we build that flow into our day to day, and have conversations before they turn into a formal sit down. Skill development, things you can start to focus on is framing your goals for the year. It's really exciting when you get this new role to think about all that you want to accomplish and starting to think about what can we accomplish together. Having a commitment to each other that we're going to build team morale up front and year round. So we're going to have that team retreat. We're going to do team bonding activities, but those things don't just happen once. We're going to commit to checking in with each other throughout the year, If vibes are feeling weird, let's have a conversation about it and reset and bring the vibes back. And then committing to those feedback mechanisms when things are and aren't going right are things that you all can individually commit to as a team and help you along your path to building really strong teams. Love for you all to share a little bit about um, someone you've seen who built strong teams or what your team did last year to build a strong team or things that you saw that maybe could be better this year in building strong teams.
I'm seeing a lot of examples of including people in conversations and decisions. So, not making decisions in silos, not working on a project by yourself, but allowing others to help you and bring in other opinions to ensure that everyone has a stake and a part of, feels that shared responsibility within it as well. In bonding events, making sure that you're doing them outside of meetings. And I would just like to call out, I'm sure that there's an example in here, but making sure that you're doing those bonding moments within meetings as well, so that there is still fun within the business of your everyday. And that can look like miracle stories, that can look like get to know you questions, that can look like a lot of different things. And hopefully you'll see and experience some of those from us, but know that you can always come up with your own.
I love establishing goals as an entire board, not just president and core four setting goals and dictating them down, but really including folks into that and letting everyone see their piece. Awesome. Lots of team bonding, lots of good ideas for getting to know each other. So yes, what I'll emphasize here is building strong teams. It is the morale piece of it. It is the culture. It is liking each other. It's getting to know each other, and it's also those skills of feedback, having conversation, not just difficult ones, but just open dialogue all the time. Um, Prioritizing both strategy and fun, and redefining as a team that hitting goals is fun and hitting milestones along the way and doing the things that we say we're going to do and being accountable can be fun. And just prioritizing the team achievements. So that is that for the 4 competencies. As a reminder, here are the 4 of them. I don't expect you to be able to fully come back at me with a definition of each of these or what your action plan is to grow in these areas. That wasn't the goal here today. It's awareness of what these are and letting you know that this is going to be woven in and baked into all of our educational opportunities moving forward, as well as coaching conversations with your CPMs when things are going really well, having that conversation to say what's going right in these areas and what can we continue to do to make sure we're setting ourselves up for success. And when things are going not right, having the shared language to say, are we not holding each other accountable? Do we need to have a conversation about resilience, etc.? Amber, if you can go to the next slide. So just back to that slide that I had previously of these things are a fine balance here. If you have all of the soft skills and competencies in the world and you're a great team leader, and you're a good leader of people, but you don't have the technical skills or understanding of what we should be doing strategically from a dance marathon perspective, or how to dive into our data, or how to build a communication plan, you won't be as successful as you could be. Versus if you lean in and you learn everything about our resources and you look at every single guidebook and you feel really confident, but you struggle to communicate that or struggle to build a team that is willing to come together around those strategies and make it happen, you'll also really struggle. So our whole focus this summer will be making sure that you feel confident in both of these areas, technical skills and leadership competencies. So homework, light homework, I say homework, they should hopefully not take up too much brain space, but just things to be thinking about as we enter into the rest of the onboarding. Technical skills, please, please, please sign up for your role specific session if you haven't already. That's going to really dive into the nitty gritty details about what you need to be doing and know how to do in your role. Competencies, I would love for you all to just reflect on the four that we've identified and start to think about which ones feel like you're good at them already, which are strengths that you can lean into and continue to flex those muscles, and which are opportunities for you as a leader that maybe you just maybe it's not even that you're weak in that, you haven't had the opportunity to flex that muscle or show that strength yet. And then team dynamics and culture, just identifying for yourself of how you're going to do summer culture check-ins. Are you all meeting over the summer? Great. Maybe that's time to get to know each other. If you're not meeting over the summer, how are you doing culture check-ins on how everybody is doing and getting to know each other so that you all are ready to rock and roll going into the fall? If you are having more of those meetings, starting to talk to one another about the culture that you want to define for yourself and what you want this program to look like in the coming year. So my knowledge check is not really a knowledge check. It's just a curiosity of if everyone would share one competency that they feel really strong in already, and one competency that they're excited to dive in and explore in the coming year as a student leader. And I know we don't have a whole lot of time, so I'll read a couple um, and then we'll move on to the next one. Keep sharing, but I do think I want to keep going because we only have 3 minutes left. So Abby, over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Kristen. Just a brief overview of what's next for the summer. So we do have a feedback survey. You should get prompted with the survey as you're exiting the session in a little bit. But I will also make sure to include it in the recap email that you'll receive after this with the recording, just in case you miss it. Sign up for the Donor Drive Admin and Finance Tracker training if that applies to you. If you're not sure it applies to you, don't hesitate to reach out to your advisors, your campus program manager, ask for clarification. We also have all the June onboarding sessions coming up, so make sure to register for those. If you have any questions about which one you should be attending or which ones, again, don't hesitate to ask. Ignite will be happening in July, so don't forget to register for that. And then we will have our August closing session. So I know this sounds like a packed summer, but with June only being 1 to 2 sessions per person, hopefully it feels nice and easy. And all of these important links and information will be included in the recap email. And Soph also is fantastic and just dropped them in the chat. So feel free to register for everything that you need. Catch these links on the way out, but again, they'll be included in our recap email. That is all we have for you tonight. If anyone has any remaining questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. We'll stay on for a few extra minutes to answer any questions that come up, but otherwise, thank you for staying on. Again, thanks for bearing with us in our technical difficulties, and we'll see you all on Donor Drive training or in June.
Thanks, y'all.
If anyone is still hanging out with us, if you've got any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We're happy to help. Feel free to send an email to your campus programs manager. We're happy to help get any questions answered. But otherwise, you all are free to enjoy the rest of your evening. Thanks for joining us. Great question from Tucker in the chat. Has there been a date set for the hospital relations session in June?
Yes, if you go and click on the link to register, let me also pull it up really quick. We did. I think it's June 11th, but I just want to double check before confirming.
So it says June 22nd at 4 p.m.
Oh, awesome. Thanks. Totally wrong.
You had 11, 22, 11.
Any other questions? Feel free to drop them in the chat.
All right, thanks, y'all. We're not seeing any more questions. Oh, holy. Tucker, did you previously work with Alexis? If you can, I know you can't talk, but yes. Okay, so we're currently in transition right now, and more details will be shared with you all about who you will be working with moving forward. So answers to come. So I'm sorry that it's awkward that you can't talk back to us, but thank you for asking and more information to come. Don't apologize. You're doing great.
Awesome. Any other questions? Feel free to reach out. And we will be sending the recap email with the slides recording and all the important links and information that we learned tonight. So thank you.